Welcome to this explainer. Navigating the high seas is challenging enough, but what happens when the voyage ends and your hard-earned reward just isn't waiting at the dock? Today, we're unfolding a truly empowering legal framework. Think of it as a powerful tool for the hard-working seafarer, the protagonist of our story, to seek and secure the pay they've rightfully earned. It's almost like a legal drama, but with real-world stakes. Okay, let's dive into this. Every good story has an inciting incident, right? For a seafarer, the conflict starts the exact moment wages become payable but remain unpaid. It's an incredibly stressful situation, obviously, but the law absolutely doesn't leave you stranded. Instead, it sets the stage for a rapid investigation and resolution. So let's look at exactly how this legal machinery springs to life. Which brings us to the first part of our investigation, starring a very specific official, the shipping master. And this brilliantly illustrates how Section 84 steps in. It introduces a powerful ally to the narrative. The shipping master essentially acts as a lead investigator with absolute statutory authority. They literally have the power to compel the ship owner, their agent, the ship's master, or the seafarer to step forward. They can demand critical evidence, specifically any logbooks, ship papers, or relevant documents they might be holding onto. Picture it like a bright, sunlit dockside interrogation. This isn't some shadowy, endless legal maze where paperwork just goes to die. It's a transparent, highly thorough fact-finding mission. The shipping master doesn't just collect papers. They can require the attendance of these key players and directly examine them. This ensures that right out of the gate, all the facts, the logs, the testimonies, they're all brought into the light, setting a rock-solid foundation for the seafarer's claim.
Now, let's talk about the jurisdiction rule, or what we can call the boundaries of our legal arena.
Now, what's really interesting about this rule is how it sets up a strict territorial boundary, but with some highly dramatic exceptions. If a seafarer is engaged for a voyage designed to terminate in India, they generally cannot sue for wages in a court outside of India. Standard rule, right? But the law understands that real life is messy. A seafarer can step outside this jurisdiction if they're discharged with the proper legal sanction and the written consent of the master. Or, in a much more extreme scenario, Section 85 actually breaks this territorial rule entirely if the stakes get truly cinematic. Specifically, if the seafarer proves severe ill usage by the master. Now, we're not just talking about a simple workplace disagreement here. It has to be so severe that it warrants a reasonable apprehension of danger to the seafarer's life if they were to stay on board. If those dire conditions are met, the jurisdictional boundaries are completely shattered to ensure their safety and, of course, their access to justice.
Moving on to the main event, fast-track justice and the judicial magistrate's swift action. The exact moment those wages become payable but aren't paid, the clock starts ticking. The seafarer immediately applies to a judicial magistrate of the first class. And what follows is pretty brilliant. It's a summary trial. The case is tried swiftly and efficiently, slicing right through typical legal red tape. Finally, we reach a triumphant, binding final order. It's this rapid-fire sequence designed entirely to get the seafarer their money without any unnecessary delay. But here's the best part. Our protagonist doesn't have to fight this battle alone. The law is incredibly accommodating. According to subsection 2 of Section 86, the application to the magistrate doesn't even have to be filed by the seafarer themselves. They can have a duly authorized person handle it for them. On top of that, an application can even be made by an officer specifically authorized by the central government. This ensures that even if the seafarer is completely exhausted or physically unavailable, their claim keeps moving aggressively forward. And to keep the momentum of this fast-track justice going, the law provides incredibly convenient locations to actually file this claim. The seafarer can apply to a magistrate exercising jurisdiction in or near the place where their service actually terminated, or where they were officially discharged. Or, get this, they can even file it right in the backyard of the person they're making the claim against, wherever that person happens to reside. The whole arena is deliberately set up for the seafarer's maximum convenience. That brings us to the civil court exceptions, basically the plot twists of our legal narrative. So the crucial point is that proceedings for wage recovery absolutely should not be instituted in a standard civil court. Civil courts are strictly off-limits to prevent long, drawn-out litigation. However, there are 3 specific, dramatic triggers that completely shift the battlefield. First, if the shipowner has been legally declared insolvent. Second, if the vessel itself is under arrest or has been sold by a court. Or third, if the judicial magistrate themselves decides to refer the claim upward to the civil court.
But remember, the fast-track summary trial with the magistrate is the golden rule. It is the primary, brightly lit path to justice. Civil courts, with their complex procedures and potentially gloomy, drawn-out timelines, are the rare exception. The law is actively working here to protect the seafarer from getting bogged down in endless civil litigation unless it is absolutely necessary. I really want to highlight this specific, triumphant quote directly from Section 86. The order made by such magistrate in the matter shall be final. There is no sequel. There's no endless appeals process dragging on for years and years. Once the summary trial concludes and the magistrate strikes that gavel, the decision is definitive. It's a deeply empowering legal framework designed to give the seafarer complete closure and, most importantly, their rightful compensation.
So, we've seen how effectively the law arms our protagonists with swift, undeniable rights to recover their wages. It's a surprisingly empowering system, right? Built on speed, clear authority, and absolute finality. But this raises a fascinating final thought. Armed with these precise, rapid-fire legal rights for their pay, how else can seafarers proactively protect themselves and their livelihoods while navigating the unpredictable challenges of the high seas? It's a great question to ponder as we wrap up today's deep dive. Thanks for watching this explainer, and keep your curiosity anchored.